Super Bowl champion Barrett Brooks, NBC Sports Philadelphia, quick slants, Eagles pre- and post-game live. And he joins us here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. A couple days removed from an Eagles win. Barrett, let me ask you to start with this one. We saw Dallas win 40-7. We saw Washington beat the Carolina Panthers yesterday. So those teams right now, who's a bigger threat to Philadelphia?
You know what? I would go so far as to say Washington. I think they've been pretty consistent with the exception of that Monday night game, that they're a really good defense, a really, really good defense. And I think they start to turn the corner with their offense with the addition of AP being that stability they need running the rock, man. So this is going to be a tough, tough game. And the division isn't as weak as we thought it was, but it's just not as good as we thought it was also.
Yeah, you got both those teams now that provide different you got the run game with Ezekiel Elliott. You got the run game with Adrian Peterson. Which quarterback you like better, Alex Smith, Dak Prescott?
Oh, there's no question. Alex Smith, he's starting to get it now. He knows how to use his receivers, or lack thereof. Loxton and are not what their focal point is. I think Davis and Reed are their focal point, the two tight ends. I mean, those guys are really good, man, and they're really stretching the field. So I think, once he gets everything going as far as running the rock and then have a play action, those two will be probably the focal point on how they move the sticks in their offense.
Hey, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I mean, just, talking about, Thompson, the way he runs, and Thompson and AP, the way they play together, they're really going to be a force in the division.
Hey, so here we are a couple days removed from that Eagles win against the Giants. What stands out moving forward? I thought, Barrett, and get your take on this, I thought they turned the corner a little bit in the second half against the Vikings. Even though they didn't come back to win the game, they fumbled, they looked a little, but it seemed that they finally were doing something. They carried that over. So what did you see Thursday night against the Giants that you think they're ready to kind of carry over and get rolling here?
Basically, I really think they just needed that confidence. They needed that all-encompassing win in which every facet of the game was clicking. They hadn't had that this week. This season. And this week it finally fell into place for them. And I think they just were overthinking things a little too much, or it was I guess they thought that everybody was going to fall down and bow down to them because they're the Super Bowl champions. And no, it makes things even harder. So I think their focus was a lot more centered because they hadn't had a chance to go out and practice throughout the week. They had to cut things short. They had to focus on a couple of plays as opposed to the playbook being, huge. It really made them focus on a few good plays, a few good defenses, and really perfect those defenses, which allowed them to go in and do what they did in this last game. They totally dominated that Giant team, and I think it was more so because the confidence level, understanding what they needed to do and how they needed to do it, is what made them focus like that.
Yeah, Barrett Brooks is with us for Barrett's Breakdown. The Eagles beat the Giants on Thursday night. We saw Dallas just steamroll Jacksonville, and Washington get a big win. So it sets up an interesting week in the NFC East. And Barrett, you played the offensive line, so continuity up there. Peter's seemingly in and out all the time. Now he's got the bicep issue. Don't know if he's going to be ready to play. Looks like he's going to be out for at least a week or two. And then you get the ankle problem from Lane Johnson. Is this line going to be able, or do we see a line that's going to be able to get that continuity this year?
I think Lane will come back and he'll get even better because I think the soreness will start going down a little bit. But at this point, Jason Peters is he's just, he's really just fighting through it. He's just being a real soldier about it. I don't know if I would push forward with not Seumalo, but push with Big V. I would actually give Mailata an opportunity to at least see what he can do throughout practice and see if he's ready to come out and play. I understand that you don't get the reps that you had when you were at training camp. You won't get that focus like you had at training camp because usually when the season starts, you usually try to work out with the starters. But if they were really, really considering him a player, I think they should really start getting him going because what I saw in the preseason definitely opened my eyes, and I'm ready to see him start taking some real snap against real competition.
Yeah, a lot of people very intrigued by him, Barrett. So what did you see in that game on the offensive side of the ball that changed or improved?
Their consistency at running the ball when they needed to run the ball. It wasn't flashy. It didn't have, we didn't have a breakout. We only had 97 yards between our two starting backs, and that's fine. But we ran it at key points, which gave the illusion that we could, on play action, to really push the ball down the field. We moved our quarterback around a lot more this game than we have been in the past, and I think it was out of necessity because we don't have a healthy offensive line. So they ran a lot more boot protection. They ran a lot more waggle protection in which they give Carson a different vantage point on throwing the ball, getting him out of the pocket a little bit, allow him to run, use his athletic talent, and really gives him the ability to get away from that pressure, because teams are starting to pressure us right up the middle, knowing that that's the quickest way to the shortest way to the quarterback, the quickest way to the quarterback.
Right.
So when you run these play actions now, it gives you an opportunity to get Carson out of there, move around, have him survey the field. And it's a lot easier for the offensive line to block that as opposed to just straight drop back passes and going down the field. That's why we looked a little more explosive, because he was out and using his athletic talent and pushing the ball instead of just sitting back there waiting for him to come sack him.
Hey, Barrett, defense, I wasn't as hard on the defense. They gave up, 20 down in Nashville, ended up being 26, so they go to overtime, 16 against the Vikings. I mean, they've been playing well enough to win, but maybe not at the same level they were at a year ago. But has the Eagles' defense, I don't want to say changed it all this year, but what is different about the defense this year? To me, it just seemed like they're not getting the same amount of turnovers, but they're still playing pretty good. They just haven't got that volume of turnovers they seemingly were getting last year.
That's absolutely the case. I mean, the defense has definitely played well, especially a lot during the even in the loss. I think they played well enough to win, but we just weren't crossing our T's and dotting our I's. We weren't finishing teams off, and that's the biggest thing. This defense is all predicated on getting pressure up front. When you get pressure up front, it gives your secondary a little more of an opportunity to cover their guys, and that's what we lacked in the games we lost and lacked in the games where we didn't blow anybody out. If you let those guys up front go out there and hunt, allow our DBs to get up a little closer to guys and challenge them a little bit at different times. Don't just sit back like we did. I think we were too one-sided at first, making our DBs step back so much that they can't go up and put their hands on them. We have physical corners. Even Ronald Darby is a physical corner. He's quick enough that he can come up there, jab you, and run with you. I mean, you got to put your guys in better positions, and I think they challenged them. They ran a too-high scheme, and they allowed them corners to go up and challenge the receivers of the Giants, and it really helped them out because it took the timing off with Odell Beckham, and with the defensive line playing the way they played, Manning didn't have a chance. So I think that's what we have to do, mix it up a little bit. Don't just run this single high safety or cover three or man-free type of defense. We have to get up on guys and challenge them a little bit. If we are playing back, make sure that they don't just run past us. And that's the difference between what we ran before and what we ran yesterday. Yeah. We ran a too-high scheme and had our corners up, giving a little pressure to the receivers, and they weren't just running around scot-free.
Corners up and a lot more athleticism and speed with Avonte Maddox. He's been an interesting find. It seems that the Eagles are deciding to go with more speed and cover at that McLeod position.
Well, you don't have McLeod there. That's a huge, huge blow. But they're finding now that if you go out there and use guys like Avonte Maddox, use guys like Rasul Douglas, who can run a little bit, who can cover from a safety position, and once they learn the position, if you saw that long touchdown run by the Giants, Rasul Douglas ran at the back as opposed to taking an angle. And that's just knowing how to be a safety. You have to be a safety. You have to run reps as safety as opposed to just being a corner. Avonte is just starting to get into it because it's his second 2.5 weeks of being a safety. Now he understands the angles that he has to be at. He has to understand he has to be the last line of defense. He's the deepest guy at all times. He'll eventually get a lot better. Use that speed to go close on stuff, on receivers, as opposed to sitting back and wait for them to make a play. That all comes with these guys getting the reps at those positions, and then they'll start flourishing at them. Avonte Maddox is a fast guy. He's somebody that can cover from sideline to sideline. Leave him back there. Let him learn the position. It's only going to help him. It's only going to help your team.
Barrett Brooks here on the Sports Bash Live Boardwalk Honda Hotline. And, Barrett, we got, I look at Wentz and he is on that rookie deal, is now the time that Howie, has to remain aggressive to build around him while he's still not making a lot of money. So in other words, do you anticipate them adding another starting level player to this team?
You know what? I do. At this point, it would have to be on the defensive side of the ball. It would have to be either a defensive lineman, like a nose guard, or a defensive tackle.
I heard you mention the other night about how much they've missed Jernigan.
Oh, no question, David. And that's people don't understand how good of a player Jernigan was and what his part was on that team. You couldn't double team Fletcher as much simply because Jernigan had the athletic skill and had size to get up the field and create havoc. Bennett is finally starting to turn into his own and become that guy now. And it's hard to block him now because now you have to pick your poison. Are you going to block Fletcher with a double team or are you going to block Bennett? And then Barnett is definitely coming to his own also. We're just in a position where we have the horses, but they're just not. They're still in the stable. With Jernigan still in the stable, not having, a guy like him creating havoc, it really puts us in an awkward position. He was an integral part on why this defense was successful. And when and if he comes back, I can't wait. So until we get him, we need somebody else to come in and kind of, stabilize things, an impact player, a guy that can get up the field, create havoc. As far as safeties, it's slim picking out there, very slim picking. So where do you go from here? Well, I think they're just going to go with the guys they have. I don't want to run it back. I think this running back by committee is okay, and Clement and Smallwood have done very, very good, and the chances we might get Sproles back just puts us in a better position. An impact receiver, that's intriguing also. I mean, having a guy that can go and stretch the field.
You watched those Chiefs last night. You watched those Chiefs last night. Ooh, you don't got a player like they got.
Exactly, and we need somebody. Those guys like him come few and far between, but we need somebody to stretch the field. Take these safeties out, out of the box, take them out so we can run the ball consistently. Take somebody out of the box, take the top off the defense, so you can get those underneath routes we had. It'll only open up things for Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. We also need him to turn the corner also and become a more integral part in his offense. Once Dallas really steps it up, then it'll open up once again for Alshon Jeffrey. I think that he's starting to come into his own and being a really, really good receiver. He's already good, but I think he's going to be a really, really good receiver because you can't handle him one-on-one. You're going to have to bracket him. You got to send somebody over his side because he will take a smaller corner, debo him, post him up, and go get the ball at this highest point. So this team is not out of it. They're right there where they need to be. They just need to do a little more of game planning with some more weapons as far as, on the outside and really taking the top off these defenses.
All right, Eagles-Panthers this Sunday, 1 o'clock, right here, 97.3 ESPN. Countdown to kickoff coverage begins at 10. Barrett Brooks, of course, NBC Philadelphia Eagles pre- and post-game live, quick slants during the week, right here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. All right, pal, good stuff.
Appreciate it, guys. Yep.
Barrett Brooks here on the Sports Bash Live.